Hello, Internet. Jordan here. It's June 11th, 1955. The 24 Hours of Le Mans, one of the most famous car races in the world, is being held in France. Now, the 24 Hours of Le Mans is exactly what it sounds like. The cars go around a track over and over again for 24 hours, and the car that covers the most distance, or most laps of the track, in that time is the winner. Now, it's been held in France almost every year since 1923. And when a race is run that many times and lasts that long each time, of course, things are going to go wrong every now and then. But on this one particular day, things went very, very wrong. The race started at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the audience was huge, about 250,000 people. Now, for the first 2 hours and 25 minutes, everything went smoothly. But at 6:26 in the afternoon, on lap 35 of the race, tragedy struck. The Mercedes 300 SLR, driven by Pierre Levey, collided with the Austin Healey 100S, driven by Lance Macklin. The cars were going about 125 and 150 miles an hour, respectively, and in an instant, Levey's Mercedes was launched into the air and into the crowd. Levey landed on the track and was killed immediately, his body severely burned. His car hit a barrier and broke into pieces, and some of those pieces quickly flew through the audience. The engine block, the front suspension, the radiator, they were all thrown dozens of meters by the impact. The hood of the car acted like a guillotine, completely decapitating people, and the remains of the car caught on fire, killing some of those who were closer to the crash. Rescue workers made the mistake of trying to put the fire out with water, but this only made it burn brighter, and I'll explain why that was the case later on. Here's what the crash looked like. But even after all of this, surprisingly, the race continued. It might seem like a strange decision not to stop the race, but if all of the 250,000 people who were there that day had tried to leave at once, they would likely have made the situation worse, both because of overcrowding and the fact that that many people all trying to leave simultaneously would have made it more difficult for rescue workers to access the area of the disaster. It's not known exactly how many people died as a result of this crash. If you look on the internet, most sources will tell you that there were 84 deaths, Levey and 83 spectators. But this is only an estimate. The number of confirmed deaths stands at 82 and was provided by the Le Mans authorities on June 14th, 1955. The Times News, which reported this count, said that hospitals still held people who were in critical condition. Some, or none, or all of these people may have died soon after, but there really is no way to know for sure. But regardless of the exact death toll, the 1955 Le Mans disaster remains to this day the deadliest crash in the history of motorsports. The effects of this crash on the world of car racing were widespread. Several European countries banned car racing almost immediately after, and for France in particular, such a ban was a big deal. The article from the Times News I just mentioned compared France banning car racing at the time to the United States banning American football. Now, France would go on to lift the ban on September 14th, 1955, exactly 3 months after imposing it, and indeed, most of the countries involved would lift their bans within a year. But Switzerland didn't do the same until 2022. Obviously, pieces of the car flying through the crowd were one reason why the crash was so tragic and had such an impact, but adding to the disaster was the fire. Initially, it was thought that Mercedes had added an explosive material to the fuel against the rules of the race because, as I mentioned before, attempts to put the fire out with water only made it burn more brightly and more intensely. But later it was discovered that that was not the result of an explosive additive, but rather because of something else: magnesium. Magnesium is a good structural metal. It's strong and light, which is why a magnesium alloy was used for parts of this car. But, as you may have guessed, magnesium is also highly flammable. Now, large pieces of magnesium are surprisingly difficult to light on fire because they have less surface area to absorb heat compared with the actual amount of metal there is. So, the engineers designing this car thought it was safe to use a magnesium alloy, but no one ever anticipated a crash this disastrous. Upon impact, all of the as-of-yet unburned fuel in the fuel tank lit on fire, and with all of that heat, the magnesium did too. Despite the danger of magnesium catching on fire, it continued to be a popular material for car parts. But after the crash, motorsport safety was improved in other ways. France's Ministry of the Interior imposed new regulations on motorsports, and the track used for the 24 Hours of Le Mans itself had to be heavily changed before the following year's race. The 1955 Le Mans disaster was not the first time spectators were killed in a motorsport crash, and it was not the last time either. But it was the most disastrous crash in the history of motorsports, a crash so disastrous that we will likely never, and hopefully never, see anything like it again. So that's the story of the 1955 Le Mans disaster. It's a morbid story, but if you were looking for that kind of thing, well, you came to the right place. If all goes well with filming and editing this video, I'll have it up on June 11th, 2025, the 70th anniversary of this disaster. I hope you enjoyed this, hope you found it interesting, and all that's left for me to say now is thanks for watching.